Alright, the order is going to be case in the order of racism and poverty. Overview on the top of racism, and then it's going to go to immigration. Everybody good? Extend the menu to the housing evidence. If there's any reason that we solve more racism than the negative team does with the immigration dissent, that's the reason that you're going to vote affirmative, and we've isolated all our bullet for evidence as reasons why transportation infrastructure is inherently racist in the current dominant political system in the status quo is a reason that we're going to solve more racism, and the reason that they don't solve the current political system in the status quo, exacerbating all the inequalities, means their impacts on racism are inevitable in the status quo. If you try to pass the immigration plan through the political system of the status quo, that means the AF is going to be a key first step, and you're going to want to do the affirmative before you do the dissent. That means we're going to outweigh, because our problems are going to become inevitable if we don't reform the political system, which RF is a key first step to doing. Now, to the line by line of racism flow. They say anything to be free cause co-option. The impact of co-option will be seen in the status quo. State Department distribution are already breeding the impact of tyranny into the localities. They say we cause more gentrification but the status quo will see the impact of this. There's no warrant as to why these people are actually going to move into these houses, and these houses are these areas that we isolate are in terrible areas. These areas riddled with poverty. There's housing that is not even worth $1,000 in some of these areas. It's not going to go up high enough. The rich people are actually going to be able to start buying these houses. There's no warrant that actually proves that, and there's no terminal impact to rich people moving into inner city communities in these areas. That's another reason to reject the negative team, is because they're just saying that we shouldn't try to give these people a better opportunity to get at the risk of some white people moving into the neighborhood. And they say we must fight all causes, but we're the key first step to doing this. The Bullard 4 evidence asks why, and the Raphael 2 evidence actually really responsive on why we're getting the better areas of education, and these areas of urban employment are actually out there. The only key first step into getting in these areas of employment is transportation. They're not going to be able to solve this otherwise, and that's why we're going to solve there. Go to poverty. They say low-paying jobs, but first of all, they send the Raphael 2 evidence that checks that back by saying there are good jobs available in the status quo. They were just too far away to get these urban areas. Cambridge Systematics 2 also said that we're going to cause agglomerate growth. That means we even revitalize these urban areas. We have a better internal link to solving economic growth. There's no wage jobs in the status quo. That means we have a better internal link to economic growth. They say low-wage jobs prevent growth, but there's no wages in the status quo. We have the better internal link to economic growth here. They say immigration can be the key first step, but this does nothing to solve for the communities that we've isolated in the status quo. The immigration reform is not going to solve for these communities trapped because of the way the transportation infrastructure is dealt with the current political system. That means we are the key first step, that they have no way of doing this, and they give no better access to education, no better access to jobs for these people in the status quo. That means we are the key first step. Go to immigration. First, the dissent does not solve for any racism. They guarantee no long-term solving because the structural racism in the current political system still exists. This means two things. One, it means the dissent will never solve systemic racism at the rate of the Afghan, and two, the Af is a prerequisite to solving racism through immigration. The political system is still racist when they operate under immigration reform. It means their impacts come inevitable. First, onto their finished framing. Extend our taking 87 evidence on the 180. The time of thinking the Afghan was finished and dangerous and will lead to tyrannical control of political majority. They only make things worse for minorities. They cannot advocate fitness and immigration reform. Extend Callahan 73 for the 180. Their utilitarianistic example of the fitness argument can easily lead to genocidal actions in the name of survival. And this fitness would advocate the AF because we actually have a better internal link to solving racism. Except our Amendment 2000 evidence saying that we need to reject racism that is at lies the key internal link to solving structural racism. Structural racism, the bigger deal here. They might solve racism against Latin Americans who are immigrating to the United States, but they don't solve for the people that we isolate in the status quo. That means you vote affirmative on the framing. But go to more proper flow of the dissad. First, extend Hearst 13 political capitalism. As evidence really got to the question of expenditure of the political capital, says historically no academic literature successfully proves that it actually causes capital to be spent. There's a difference between news articles coming from the Huffington Post and actual academic articles about the expenditure of the political capital. It means that the app will have no effect. Goes on to say that Windsor means Obama will continue to win on the agenda. The dissent is not intrinsic to the app. This is a theoretical reason to reject the dissent. There's no reason a logical policymaker could not do both, especially if they improve the political capital is irrelevant. The 2 and R does not do any offense on this. That means the dissent is not intrinsic. There's no reason to vote on the dissent, but extend Iglesias 13 loss of political capital still results in the reform. Even if they win, the political capital is real. We still win. Obama loses it. You will still get a high-skilled reform, even if it's not CIR. Impact will be avoided. And they say that there's not going to be. Actually, yeah. Go to especially if you take it. Sorry. Extend Calista 13 and 2013 that guns and deaths nomination are all alternate cause of political capital. Obama is a very controversial gun policy moving on the agenda. Even if he's not pushing it, the Democratic Party is going to lose political capital forward, and the debt is still his top priority. In the State of the Union address, he was really clear on why getting the debt down is top priority, and that's going to kill his political capital because there's huge debates going on about that. And especially if you take into account the normal means solve the link, there's no reason the plan will get voted on for short-term agenda item would, and extend the executive order would solve for CIR. That's a knockout number 13. If Congress refuses to cooperate, the Obama administration will pass an executive order to get it done. There's no reason Republicans to vote on this, and they say it will not include path to citizenship, but there's no evidence on this impact. There's no warrant behind saying there's no path to citizenship. You can assume it's going to include path to citizenship. They say it outweigh on extinction, but extend Monahan 93. The racism outweighs nuclear war. They're not going to have any access to this because this will conceded. They say living is the only way to build morality because Amendment 2000 is no access to morality without racism being solved for us. They say Republicans will oppose transportation, but the Chamber of Commerce checked that back. They're going to lobby for it. They say previous immigration pushes failed. That doesn't matter as long as the Chamber of Commerce is pushing it. They say there will be a backlash. It doesn't disprove that XO won't solve. They say XO won't contain path to citizenship. There's no evidence stating this. They extend the Bullard for evidence. They say to shout at the political agenda. It's racist. That means you should eject it.